This the people party.
Live from the Blue Note. Live from the Blue Note. Live from the Blue Note. Live from the Blue Note.
Live from the Blue Note. Come on.
Party people in the place to be. You're now checking out the world's best podcast, The People's Party. I am your host, Talib Kweli. And look, we are still live at the Blue Note in New York City. Like I've said before, this is an official spot for jazz, for R&B, for hip-hop, for soul music. We come here, we perform a lot. I hope you could catch one of my shows at the Blue Note. And it's particularly dope that we're doing this artist in New York City, because this artist represent what New York City is really, 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 really about. This is one of the most prolific artists, lyricists, hip-hop purveyors to ever write rhymes, to ever do music. He has so much respect, not just from the artist, but also from the streets, also from the culture. Born in Brooklyn, but definitely representing Queens, representing Queensbridge to be exact. This man has faced down the prison industrial complex. He's gone up against the industry that seemed intent on suppressing his art, but through it all, he's risen up from the underground to be respected as one of the most underrated artists in hip-hop. He has worked with legends like Marley Marl, Nas, Large Professor, Ghostface Killer, Mobb Deep, Redman, just to name a few. And he's given us a truly impressive run of albums over the last 20 years, including the New York City classic, The Realness, True Meaning, which won Source Magazine Underground Album of the Year Award. I didn't even know you could get one of those. You know what I'm saying? But he won one. Followed by The Testament, Born and Raised, my personal favorite, Mega Philosophy, and The Realness 2. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Raps Basquiat, Queensbridge finest from the 41st side of things. Mega's in the house. We got Cormega in the place to be.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Peace, man.
How you feeling?
Feeling good.
Thank you for joining us on the People's Party.
It's all love.
Here at the Blue Note in New York City. The People's Party is normally filmed in Los Angeles, and obviously you've gone to Los Angeles, you've been in and out of LA many times, but filming it here in New York has afforded us the opportunity to speak to artists who really represent the culture in the place where the culture is from, and so I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, you and I connected the first time on social media and having a conversation about why you was working on The Realness. And I appreciate you reaching out like that.
I respect you as an artist.
I appreciate that. You have become, over the years, more introspective, and your evolution as an artist has been amazing to watch.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. And now you're associated with Queensbridge, but as I said, you're born in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn.
Best style day.
Which a lot of people don't know, and I feel like that gives you a unique perspective, because you've traveled all over New York City, but you're born in Brooklyn. You spent a lot of time in Far Rockaway, though.
Yep.
That's part of your foundation.
Yeah.
Far Rockaway, shout out to Hamel Houses and Edgemere. Now, I didn't realize what was going on around there.
Far Rock is different.
It's different. Far Rock is different. And it's like, you know, you look at it someplace, and you know how to move if you from New York, or you from Brooklyn, these areas. But watching your DVD, you had did a DVD at some point, Who Am I? DVD, where you really painted a picture of Far Rockaway. And I'm like, wow, that's where I was at. Like, I wasn't really completely aware of my surroundings. Now, at some point, you spent time in Co-op City, right?
Yep.
Were you in Co-op City before or after Far Rockaway?
I was before. That was when I was little.
Okay.
I was born in Brooklyn. I lived in Far Rockaway. I lived in Co-op City. I lived in Crown Heights twice. Shout out to my man Clark Kent. He's from the block.
Shout out to Clark Kent.
Union Street.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm New York.
Now, I've heard you talk about your time in Co-op City being different than the time in Far Rockaway. What are the differences?
You know, I was much younger, and Co-op City was like a melting pot back then. So I had friends that were Jewish, friends that were Asian, friends that were everything, you know? Like, I was a good kid. I never got into trouble. I never knew about drugs. If you showed me a crack, I wouldn't even know what it was. Never heard gunshots, you know? So when I moved, it was culture shock. You know, I moved from there to Far Rock.
Okay.
That's an extreme change.
Okay.
That's like going from Beverly Hills to Compton.
Yeah, yeah.
Co-op City wasn't rich like Beverly Hills. That's an exaggeration, but it was a very nice area.
Culture shock, though.
Yeah, it was a culture shock.
Yeah. Now, you experienced tragedy at a very young age.
Yeah.
You saw your mom's murdered at a very early age. Do you have any memories of her as a person?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. How do you feel like such a tragic event at so young shaped you as a man, as an artist as well?
I can't say it shaped me as an artist. As a man, I don't know. That's a heavy question. As a man, I just want to make my mother proud. You know, I try to do things that will make her proud. But that situation, I'm just blessed that it didn't drive me crazy, and then I'm still here. But I will say, when we grow up the way we grow up, especially in our community, one thing a lot of us are neglectful about is mental health.
Yes, it did.
Some people actually need it, and sometimes people need somebody to talk to, but they don't want to because they associate that with ridicule that comes with it. So I'm just thankful that I had people that I could talk to. And as I grew older, and I think about the situation with my mom's, I'm just glad that I could have died with my mom. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I'm still here. I'm glad my sister's here. Now that I have a platform, I think people need to look at mental health more, because you take somebody that goes to the services, they might not even be in full combat, but just from some things that they've seen, they'll get therapy.
Yeah.
So they might see their friend die or hear of their friend from the next unit dying. Where we from, people die all the time.
Yeah.
So when you become insensitive to death, that's not normal.
Yeah.
But we normalize that. So that's the thing that I take from my mother. You know, as I look at life from a different lens now, I just be like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? So everything I do is to make her proud.
Rod, I appreciate you sharing that. It's interesting that you brought up the PTSD aspect of it and what veterans go through and how that's respected, or it's not really respected, because, you know, we're going to interview John Stewart soon, and he had to stand up for the veterans because they don't even be getting the help they need from the VA. He talks about the rhetoric of support your troops versus the reality of it. But we're supposed to be supporting the troops, right?
Facts.
But with people who go through those PTSD situations in the hood, they don't get supported. And you coming from Queens in particular, Queens, there's something about Queens where in the hip hop space, from Tragedy Gaddafi to the producer Ayatollah to Nori and Capone with naming Left Rack, Iraq, Queens was always able to visually and lyrically, poetically show people that what we living in is a war zone. And at least for young black men in particular, it's like a war zone.
It's a fact.
You mentioned your sister just now, and through your music, you've always, and in a couple of interviews I watched, you always gave props, shout out your sister and your stepmoms, and talked about these black women in your life. I know you lost your mom early, but it seems like from the outside looking in that you had strong black women helping you and raising you. Is that a fact?
I've had numerous strong women in my life. But I wouldn't even say just from when I was young. Even now, there's strong women in my life. Period. So it's like, that's why you notice I don't say bitch in my music no more.
I noticed that. I noticed you don't say bitch, you hardly say nigga as well.
Yeah, so music. It's like, because I see things through a different lens now. How can they, I don't see them as bitches. How can they be a bitch?
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of times women are more loyal than men.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when you go through a situation, they're there for you more than men.
That go for a lot of things, from jealousy to a lot of being emotional, a lot of things we just put as solely as being as women. Be a lot of emotional dudes out here, a lot of jealous dudes out here that cause a lot of problems.
You're right. Yeah. And so women help me see things from a different perspective. I mentioned my stepmother. She was very insistent on me reading. It's to the point where reading became something I wanted to do, not nothing I had to do. And there's women I respect, you know, as I was growing up. Miss Harris from Rochdale. Just a lot of women. And then my publicist, Jackie Osea.
Okay.
Even now, like, it's a woman that made me be more active community-wise.
Okay.
You know, and she challenged me, and she was disappointed with me that I didn't speak up more or advocate for our people more. And I couldn't stomach that. I thought about it, and it made me say to myself, she's right. So even in the Quran, it says something about respecting your woman with the fear of God, as you would fear God. So that's heavy.
Yes, indeed. Now, one of the architects of what we love in hip-hop, particularly from Queensbridge, is a woman, Roxanne Shante.
100%.
And I know you grew up seeing her around the neighborhood. The unique positioning of Queensbridge in hip-hop Queensbridge, biggest project in North America. Home of Marley Marl, MC Shan, Nas, of course. So many famous names come from Queensbridge, not just in music.
Facts.
Talk to me a little bit about what you feel like the overall impact of Queensbridge on music and culture.
Queensbridge on music and culture?
Yes, indeed.
I don't want to sound biased, but here we go.
Okay. Let's do it.
First of all, Marley Marl changed the whole landscape of production.
Yes, indeed. That's facts.
Said people wasn't, they wasn't even finessing samples and loops and stuff like that. The Juice Crew was the blueprint for crews. Even KRS-One wanted to be down with the Juice Crew.
He did. Mr. Magic, he was trying to get in.
Yeah. MC Shan did the first hood anthem. The song The Bridge came out before Brooklyn's in the House, before the South Bronx, before any neighborhood song was The Bridge. MC Shan did a Feed the World record.
That's right.
My writing style is really an extension of Shan, some of it to a degree. When you listen to the song The Bridge, when you listen to a lot of records that came out in that era, they have a nostalgic connection to us, some of it. So it's like, I remember that song. Dead Dreams, Born in Soul, you got to strive to achieve your goal. However you do it, however you made, don't never listen to what nobody say. He dropping gems that didn't get dated. So it's like the way that certain people from Queens write, it's like Shook Ones could have came out last week. The World Is Yours could have came out yesterday. So it's like that thing alone with Queensbridge. Queensbridge is so impact. I mean, look, you talk about the independent game. Nobody even wanted to be independent. I made it look sexy. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
I remember dudes was laughing at me for being indie.
Right.
You know
had to have a major.
Yeah.
I remember Souls of Mischief, like, if you're really dope, why ain't you signed yet?
Word.
And I was like, what the fuck you mean? It was,
I heard a lot.
I'm not signed yet.
Yeah. I remember a big rapper, I won't name him, I respect him, but he told another rapper, because they was asking me advice, and they said, independence for people nobody wants.
I remember that era.
I was like, damn. Made me second guess being indie. You know what I'm saying? But I don't follow trends. I follow my heart. I don't chase the bag. I chase my dream. So I'm like, yo, why would I stress over being on a label when they could put me on the shelf again? Sometimes not even intentionally when you're on the shelf. Sometimes a label might have a merger.
Right.
If a label merges with another company, what happens? Everything is on pause.
Right.
So you could be sitting for 2 years while they restructuring. But people don't see that. So a lot of rappers wanted to shine more than they wanted. I want to eat. I don't need to shine. I've been, I could pull out old pictures of me.
You just did. My producer Steve was talking about the legacy of Van Grack sneaker, and you were like, Van Grack's, he pulls a picture of his out. You still got that picture?
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Showing a picture of the Van Grack's. They need to see that, like you said, it's no cap.
I've been doing this. So I don't need attention. I'm not an attention seeker. It is what it is. Here's the Van Grack. And I got the Wonder Woman bracelet Ghostface used to be talking about.
Look, we got a whole low section over here.
I'll see y'all. Yeah, this is low, so don't get it twisted. This is that quiet low. You know, I do this, man. Now, that's the Crown Heights. Shout out to Crown Heights.
No doubt. One thing about Queensbridge dudes, because of the way that y'all had that culture there, the Shan, the Shantae, the Marley, Queensbridge dudes seem uniquely positioned to understand street life just as much as they understand hip hop. Like when someone hears Cormega speak, you're like, okay, this dude knows certain codes. This dude knows certain street shit. But then when you start talking about hip hop, you talk about hip hop like a historian. And on Legal Hustle, you got the song Bring It Back. And I don't want to disrespect you by doing your bars wrong. But there's bars you say on this song. And like you say, hip hop is like Egypt, reduced from its greatness to sadness. The industry's enemies, truth says, that's it. I'll let you do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember it, because I don't remember lyrics from back then.
The industry's enemy troops that's invading our palace. They steal our culture, desecrate our sculptures, then claim the best rapper, the complexion of the Roman leader known as
Caesar.
Caesar, yeah.
I think that you get slept on for the deepness of your bars.
I like it. I like being slept on.
You like being slept on?
I think I get slept on, but I think I was more intentionally overlooked than slept on. Because dudes know if they get on a song with me, it's not going to be a walk in the park. I think I was intentionally overlooked. I think there's certain people in the industry that really didn't like me, and they was flexing their muscles and using their... There's been times when people made calls and things changed. Imagine like how I'm coming to do your show today, and then all of a sudden somebody calls you, and then all of a sudden I'm waiting to hear back from you, and I'm not coming to your show anymore. Stuff like that has happened in my career. So it wasn't that much sleeping. It was just like, whatever.
Okay.
Like, it was like, some people slept, but some people just intentionally overlooked me. Even now, like, look at me. I made an album 20 plus years after the Realness 2 came out, 20-something years later. I'm on like 5 covers. I was in Vogue, GQ.
Yeah, you're doing your thing. I've been
3
seeing
videos.
all that pop off.
And there's some rappers that's acting like they Stevie Wonder. They don't see it. Like, they don't even clap. Real talk. They don't even clap for they bro.
Right.
And I clap for everybody.
No doubt. That's what I do notice about you. You know what I'm saying? I come through and I like to post, but you come through and post up on everybody's shit. I noticed that
know what
about
I'm saying?
you. And it's not just social media, obviously.
Yeah.
You know
if you do something dope, I might call you like, yo, I like what you're doing. I'm proud of you.
And that's what it was. You called me and we never had a conversation like that, but you called me and we had a real talk. It was dope. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So being slept on kind of motivates me. Some of my favorite people in the world were like Rod Strickland is my guy. I love him. So when I
rapped about him.
You know, so when I see him not get the credit he deserves, I just say, I'm just going to handle this like I'm Rod. So so I love it. I love being underrated because a lot of times people that try to overlook me, they end up looking stupid. Like, I said this before and I'll say it again. There's nobody who ever fronted on me that could publicly brag about that because you look stupid. Like, the people that have my album on the shelf, they're not proud of that right now.
Right.
They get killed for that right now.
Right. It's a different time. The currency is different. Their currency was at the time. They was the popular dude. They was the gatekeepers. They held the keys to the city at that time.
Right.
But then the art is what outlasts, not that position in an industry.
Right.
And so 20 years later, it's like, bro, what was you even on?
Yeah.
When you was doing that?
Yeah.
I'm not growing up. You obviously looked up the street dudes.
Yeah.
I've heard you speak about how you had drugs in the house, which made you feel like it was indoctrinated, even being caught up in the street life. And you were arrested for armed robbery and you got sent to prison. Now, that's been documented, of course, because of this Nas song, this One Love. It's the first time a lot of people heard the name Cormega. And you grew up with Nas, talked to him, y'all had window situation, right?
Yeah, facts.
How did that moment in time with you being locked up? So when the Nas album came out, was you still locked up when the album came out?
Of course, I'd have been on it.
Right, okay, that makes sense. So
I'd have been on Life's a Bitch.
Tell me about that experience, like you being locked up at that time, because a lot of people think being locked up is the end of their life. But now it's almost like you living 2 lives, it seems like.
All right, when I was locked up, I knew it was on for me as soon as I hit the door because the craziest thing happened to me back then. The people that really, really know hip hop, like the DJ S&S's and Lord Finesse, Large Pro, Kid Capri, some of these guys, they knew about me before all of that. Like, I was on Poet and Hot Days.
Hot Day, shout out to Hot Day.
I was on PhD album.
Hot Day doesn't get enough props in terms of his impact in the culture coming from that side of things.
Yeah, Hot Day was definitely early in the game on it. So I was on PhD album and I was buzzing heavy. I opened up for Eric B. and Rakim at the Apollo.
Okay.
So I had a buzz. So the people that's like I said, like you said, the gatekeeper, they try to suppress. Like, I hate Wikipedia because you could just change somebody's whole identity.
Oh, they do that to me all the time. They got mad and said I was from Haiti. Remember that? Yeah. So like, why are you dissing Haitians? What the fuck is?
Yeah. So and being from Haiti, that's an honorable. Those are soldiers. Those
I'm
are
like, how's that a diss?
Yeah.
That was weirdo shit.
Those guys could have freed us from slavery.
That's right.
Actually, they were on their way to help free us from slavery, but their money was stolen.
That's how I know you read for real. Shout out to Black Jacobins.
They were sending money to America.
Yes, indeed.
So we could fight a revolution against the oppressors.
Yes, indeed.
And the guy who stole their money, they actually named the college after him, but that's a whole nother episode.
Bill Clinton, right?
Yeah, so sometimes on Wikipedia, it's like, he got his, like if the shout out gave me a whole career.
Right.
That's a shout out is a shout out. You saying a shout out gave me a career, it's almost like you trying to ignore my impact. I've been in the game for over 20 years. I don't hear nobody else that got shout out on the album.
Yeah, you got a shout out for a reason.
You know
I'm sure
you
wasn't the only dude in jail that he knew.
Right. Like I said, before I went to jail, I was buzzing. Now, here's the craziest part. You know, Marley Marl was like Quincy Jones of rap back then. He was Dr. Dre of the East Coast back then. Yes. And guess who Marley came to Queensbridge to get? Me. I was in Marley's house recording my album. Only problem is I blew trial. If I didn't blow trial, when Lords of the Underground got their deal with Pendulum Records, I would have had a deal. It would have been a package deal. It would have been Lords of the Underground and Cormega. I blew trial. If you listen to Poets, he had an album that came out after that. He said, rappers are lucky that my man Cormega is up north.
Yeah.
And Prodigy's book, Prodigy, like back in the days, Mega was better than all of us. So it's like, so when people try to act like a shout out created me, y'all just trying to dismiss the fact of who I was before that or what I've done. So I just laugh at that. So the shout out was a blessing. That was my man shouting me out. He wasn't shouting out Mega the rapper. He was shouting out his man that's in jail. Just like every rapper shouted me out. I mean, Little shouted me out in the song. Capone shouted me out. Trash shouted me out. Poet shouted me out. Nas shouted me out. I was a popular dude in the hood, and I really rock with people. So I got shout outs.
But because of this shout out, because of the impact that Illmatic had, because the Illmatic is seen as one of the, not just the best hip hop albums of all time, but one of the best albums of all time, you are now associated with Nas. And what's beautiful is that we are of a certain age. We've been at this for a long time. It's beautiful to to hear Nas on Realness too, to hear you on the King's Disease.
No doubt.
And to have that come back to fruition.
No doubt.
And it's really beautiful to see. But I also think it's interesting that on Affirmative Action, it starts out with AZ and the lust, envy, hate, jealousy. And these are the things that we was rapping about. But if you can you walk us through maybe without getting into like the minutia of it, but what you were feeling at the time when something that you were part of, you see it start to take off and become a thing?
There's two sides to that coin. When it first started, I was obviously happy. I was excited about it. I was just getting acclimated to being home. I wasn't even home for a long time. So when you first come home, you're not used to society, period. You can't domesticate a wolf in 2 months. So I was just getting used to being home. I was very happy to be on the song. And it was a growing experience. And then the politics came in, and that's why I wasn't on the album. So when the album initially was coming out and I wasn't on it, I was like, I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't mad, but I wasn't happy. I was like, it is what it is. Kind of like, there was a photo shoot one day for the firm to be on the cover of a magazine, and I was told it was canceled, right? I won't say no names because I don't want to do the clickbait shit. I was told it was canceled, right? So I was like, cool. So I was headed uptown to get a haircut. Lenny the barber.
Shout out to Lenny the barber.
Right?
I ain't got a cut from Lenny in a couple of years now.
Right? So I was headed uptown to Lenny, got my cut, and then we got the call, the photo shoot is canceled. I'm like, cool, right? So now I head to Motown Records. Dio, shout out Dio, he used to be AZ's manager, but he also was an exec at Motown. So he was like, why aren't you at Tribeca? I was like, what you talking about? So he's like, the photo shoot, it's at Tribeca. So that was like awkward. So like when he said that, I knew, so I'm like, wow. So right then and there, that's when I knew it was going downhill, because like the way he was saying it, obviously he didn't know what the hell was going on. So I could have went once he gave me the address, but I didn't want to be that, you walk in a place where you're not invited.
Yeah.
I didn't want that unwanted, that feeling.
Yeah.
So the rest is history, you know. It was politics, and at the end of the day, you gotta understand this. The politics didn't demolish my friendships with people. It affected some things, but at the end of the day, I still was supportive. Like what people don't realize is I was at the Firm Biz video. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't on the album, but I went to the video. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't realize is like, in my house now, I got the, I forgot the album Nas came out where he made some black jerseys and it got like yellow letters.
Oh, that's Nostradamus.
All right, so when they did Nostradamus, they had some black leather shirts, like baseball shirts, and they had everybody's name on it. Nas made one for me.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like the politics came, and then, but it still was love. You know what I'm saying? So after the Firm album came out, it just made me stronger, because when the Source review came out, they was like, I wish Mega was on it. The Source review said that. And in the public, when the public started like being like, I wish Mega was on the album, it made me feel good that people cared about me as an artist.
Yeah.
But that also pushed me like, all right, let me show people like what I could do. So Sometimes you got to turn a negative into a positive, or you got to turn an obstacle into a triumph.
And everything that is supposed to be will be, and the way it's supposed to happen will happen.
Indeed.
And one thing I did notice through all the years of the negativity, there was a couple of diss records back and forth. Both you and Nas both said, even as y'all was dissing each other, I love this man.
No doubt.
And that's something that never changed in all those years. And I feel like that's what brought it back together, is the love. And it was beautiful to hear you on Full Circle, and it's beautiful to hear. I mean, y'all sound, I heard you say this on another show, but y'all do sound so good together on that Realness too.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, it's a great record. How'd you link up with Chris Lighty?
Chris Lighty, God bless him.
Because Chris Lighty is somebody who comes up on this show a lot, and the impact of Violator, how important that was.
His impact is so deep. If you look at the hip hop, not even hip hop, if you look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the last 3 rappers, excluding Jay-Z, because Jay-Z got nominated recently, but the next 3 people that was in there, you got LL, Missy Elliott, and Tribe Called Quest were all managed by Chris Lighty.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
So look at that impact. So Chris Lighty was that dope. He was dope. I hooked up with Chris Lighty. Initially, I met Chris Lighty because he used to come to him. And, a lot of these mogul guys, they're peers. So Chris used to come to the studio and chill with Steve sometimes when we was doing stuff behind the scenes. Chris got a street mentality too, and he's a businessman. He knew how to close the deal on me, because it's like, I just came home, and when you come home, you're trying to get right. You know what I'm saying? Even if you had money before you went to jail, jail's gonna eat up your funds.
Right.
So when I came home, Chris was like, yo, this dude trying to get to the bag. He didn't say that, but that's just, he
knew
got
what
it.
it was.
So just for me doing the demo, he gave me 5 racks. You know what I'm saying? So I took him more serious than I took other people that were just talking.
Right.
And then the reason I ended up signing him with Violator was, it was a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is the same as the good thing. They offered me the most money.
Right.
Sometimes it's not about the money, as you know.
That's a bar.
You need a label that's going to give you the support.
Yeah.
Penalty Records wanted to sign me. They only had like 60,000. That'd have been my whole budget. But with Violator Def Jam, my advance for my pocket was 50,000.
Right.
So I was like, so.
And this is the Testament album era.
This is Testament.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, that was the biggest album deal for artists. You know what I'm saying? So Chris brought, he showed and proved with the money. And the fact that he was affiliated with Def Jam was kind of like a dream come true. Because at the end of the day, I'm a hip hop, like you just said earlier, I'm a hip hop dude. A lot of people just associate me with Mega's a thug or Mega's this or that. But Large Professor even said, like, a lot of people don't know Mega's really a hip hop guy. Yeah. So it's like, I look at Def Jam like it was back. Def Jam was like the Yankees to me. Yeah.
That's what it was.
LL Cool J, Public Enemy, LL, Slick Rick. That's all I need to say. And then Redman and all that was after. But just Public Enemy, LL, and Slick Rick alone, I'm signing because they have a legacy of greatness. And not even, like I said, and you add on the people that came after. Yeah. So it was a no-brainer.
That album, though, I feel like it was supposed to come out when it came out. It was supposed to come out under your control. It may not have had the reach that you potentially could have got through a Def Jam situation, but, it wasn't right. Rest in peace to your man, Blue, who he told you, don't forget that you're a rapper. Word. Which is great advice for a friend to give you.
That was heavy, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the inspiration behind the Realness, right?
Yeah, I made the Realness just like, my man Blue just died. And those words kept haunting me. And it was like, how can you give tribute to somebody? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I wanted to, and I didn't think I was going to make another album after that. Cause like we know, like the industry wasn't fucking with me. Like there was people that they wasn't messing with me. I wasn't getting record play from certain media people. It was certain people showing love and there was other people not showing love. But the adversity outweighed the support. So I was like, I'm gonna do this one album. This is gonna be for my man Blue, and I'm done.
But you weren't done. You called that album your redemption.
Yeah.
It was almost like a new beginning. Shout out to J Love and Ayatollah, who I was working with a lot at the time, Sha Money XL, Alchemist. This is a New York City classic that you put together with these producers.
Wow, thank you, bro.
Yeah, and Tragedy, man. Shout out to Tragedy Gaddafi. Tragedy must have been the first famous rapper I met. Juju, was you with me?
Me too.
I met Tragedy at the Rush Artist Management Office on Elizabeth. I was trying to get some management. I didn't know how it worked. I thought you could just roll up. What's up? We be managed by Rush. And Search was there that day, and Tragedy was there. And I hung out with him the whole day, or at least for a couple hours. In my mind, it became the whole day, but at least for an hour or two. But I remember he was the intelligent hoodlum and arrest the president and all that. And I'm like, yo, he mentioned Spofford on that record. You know, that's a real New York City deep cut right there. You have from What's Your Poison, the Killer's Theme, you have such a great artistic relationship with the great Mobb Deep. Rest in peace to Prodigy. This song, Thun and Kiko. What is it about Queensbridge slang that makes it develop into its own animal within the slang that's already happening?
I don't know. It's just, I don't know how Queensbridge do it. It's just, people have a lot of personality. Let me tell you something. The rappers are just the voices of Queensbridge.
Okay.
Queensbridge community is the community. The community creates so much dope stuff. We just reflect it. You know what I'm saying? Queensbridge just got its own style, period. Like, there's people that got dope-ass names out there that you've never heard before.
Yeah, the names, what's that?
Wallerhead. That's my man from my block.
I mean, even Cormega's an ill name, though.
I just cooked that one up.
Okay.
But my name, Cormega, I worked hard on my name because I wanted a dope name. The dopest name in the world to me when I was younger was Supreme Magnetic. That name is just the dopest name.
That's crazy
ever.
Because I was with Busta Rhymes and I went to that meeting that they had at the White House. And we had a meeting about the prison industrial complex and his mentorship program. And Busta was like, we need to get kids to school. He said, when I grew up, I wanted to be 5%. He started talking about the gods and the earths in the White House. And he was like, I used to see dudes with names like Supreme Magnetic.
That's a dope name.
And he said, it was like a Transformer name. I thought this nigga was a Transformer.
He is a Transformer on the low because shout out to Supreme. He's like a influential part of hip hop history. I mean,
Pay the
full. You know what I'm saying? Eric B. and Rakim, he was always around. He was always there. He was a part of it. You know, he's a quiet storm dude. He's not always in the forefront. He's a beautiful human being. And the thing I admire about him most, he doesn't like, to be honest with you, he's kind of like my low-key mentor. Like a lot of things I got from him or I pulled from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like attention. And he's a family man. That's the dopest thing about him. So shout out to Supreme. Shout out to the whole Quinones family. That's my family too.
Now, my favorite record by you, I was saying this earlier, is Mega Philosophy. And I feel like this is a fully realized Cormega album. That doesn't take away from any of the other albums.
No doubt.
But having one producer, Large Professor, who is my honor, and he don't know this yet, but I'm working on a record with him that he don't even know. I done recorded 4 of the beats already.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm working on an album with Madlib. And Madlib is Madlib's favorite producer. One of his favorites is Large Professor. So when Madlib came to New York, I'm going to surprise him. And Pete Rock, too. So I was like, I'm going to surprise him. We was in the studio. I had Large Professor, had Pete Rock pull up on him. But then they was just playing beats. And Large Professor played 100 beats in the studio.
Wow.
I said, why you got 100 beats? He was like, people don't like to rhyme on my shit like that. I was like,
Give it to me.
hold my beer. I'll be back. But Home with Black Rob, man. Rest in peace to Black Rob, bro.
Yeah, wow.
His verse on this record. I mean, that beat on that record
So dope.
is the type of beat that you want to hear Black Rob rap.
Yeah.
That was a good job on that one.
Wow, thank you. You know, sometimes we do albums and we get so focused on the next thing or life, and then we forget moments. And you just brought back a moment. And my brother Rob ain't here no more. So yeah, that was a beautiful moment. That song and that album. It was a dream come true because I'm like you. I love Large Professor.
Yeah.
He's so dope. So
Especially you be from Queens. It's got to be even crazier for you.
Large Professor is just dope, and he's a humble giant too. A lot of producers get a lot of stuff from him. He's giving people beats, and they stamp their name on it.
I know.
He's a hip hop guy. He loves hip hop, and I look forward to working with him all the time.
Yeah. You did Divine Unity with Nature, which was good to hear. You and Nature come together on that album.
That's strategic. If you look at my albums, they mostly be strategic, and it's mostly like to show people things. Like And it's also sometimes just to shut up the media. Because
Yeah.
sometimes people try to put you in a box and try to make it seem like you do interviews that ask you about something over and over again. And ever since that album, they've never asked me about nature
You
anymore.
just point to the song.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like The Firm, if you really look at it, half of The Firm was on Mega Philosophy. AZ's on one of the
That's
songs.
right.
So it's like, I
noticed.
strategic, you know what I'm saying? Foxy Brown.
Shout out to Foxy.
So, you know, I've done music with most of The Firm now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now the media can shut up. Think there's no
Right.
issue. And every time there's a Firm reunion, they always call me.
I called you Rap Basket up top because I feel like your second verse on that song is a must hear. What the fuck was going on here? What made you go off like that? Because you went the fuck off on that verse.
I that's why I said
Didn't take no breaths or nothing.
that's why I like being underrated.
There you go.
I love it. Cause it's like it's like, oh word. That was the first time you complimented me on one of my albums. I'm talking about I ain't talking about now, I'm talking back then. So I was like, wow, Talib said something about the album. That's big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been paying attention the whole time, but I think it's just there's something about the growth. Like you said, your subject matter started changing. There was always this authentic, genuine, organic code that you were sticking to in terms of like, yo, I'm not selling you no dreams. I'm not telling you that's nothing that's fake. Everything I'm telling you is real life, the realness. But then it's like, okay, you have more experiences, like the song industry with Farrakhan. He says, listen to me good. The artists are the most important person. You are the future. The people listen to you. They don't listen to your preachers.
That's real.
You was really, really, really taking that in. You know, to hear Cormega, the dude that Nas shouted out on this song, when he was in jail, say, I'm black and I didn't get enough play. I guess they got a problem with anything that's positive. Like, I love to hear you, how the rich get paid off our grief. They don't need to hear that from people like me all the time. They need to hear that from people who lived in that street struggle, people who really was selling stuff, people who's really in the prison industrial complex. I think in a lot of ways, it resonate a lot more.
Thank you, bro. And I agree. I agree. Sometimes when you're relatable, people will pay attention. Other than that, they might not. So that's when I started taking responsibility as artist. During that time that I made Mega Philosophy, was that 2014, we needed that. I mean, it was we got enough N-words, we got enough so-called thugs, we got enough drugs in every song and this and that and this and that. So many of our youth was getting killed by police officers and they was getting away. There was so much atrocities happening with our people and I felt like nobody was saying nothing about it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something about it. And when I made the song Industry, I did not think that song was going to do well. That song did well. I was like, oh, they about to definitely blacklist this one.
Right.
I was like, you know, even my publicist like, are you ready? Not even about that song, but because the album was so conscious. And it just shows you like society plays games with us. Once you start, you could say nigga, nigga, nigga all day, but as soon as you say Nubian, it's a problem.
That's right.
It's like it's like they even try to play, like if you look on I don't know if it's Apple, it might be Apple, you could check now. They had Mega Philosophy was listed in the comedy section.
Really?
Wow.
The first the first, you know what I'm saying? The first conscious album I do, it is a comedy.
They're like, oh, this nigga's
like,
joking.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, wow. So I just started looking at life from a whole different lens then. So, but I also wanted to show growth because the industry has a habit of putting you in a box. And you can't let nobody tell you who you are when you know who you are. I know I'm hip hop. I know I can really rap. You think I'm just a rapper that's controversial or gonna talk street shit? I could really rap. I really do this. I really try to have DJs scratching on my stuff.
Yeah, you got scratching, cutting, all
like,
that type of shit.
I'm really that guy.
Yeah.
And my live shows, I have a great live show too. If you ever been to one of my shows, you will not leave mad. Like, there's not 40 guys on the stage mumbling behind me and all of that. So it's like, let me show these guys what I do. Like, let me show y'all. So I always push myself. So Mega Philosophy was my comeback album. I didn't think it was going to be a comeback album. I just did it. And that album charted and everything. You know what I'm saying? But when that charted in Billboard and all that, I did not expect that. And I was like, wow. So that album just awoke in me more to who I am. And then the respect that I got from the album from my peers, like AZ, like you, Chuck D, that was humbling. Chuck D asked me to speak at a mosque after that. And I did. Combat Jack, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He did a whole
This show, what we doing right now is because of Combat Jack,
Yeah.
because of Reggie, Word is Bond.
He did a whole segment based on Mega Philosophy album.
I think I remember that.
And he just broke down the
Yeah.
album. He was like, what was on your mind? Like
Yeah.
this, like he was amazed by it. So when I seen people react like that to that album, it made me proud. That was one of the first moments I was proud. Because when the Realness came out, I just had my hands clutched like, yeah, what? You know? And then when the true
I'm
meaning.
thinking about the videos from the Realness too. Them videos was hard.
My man Gerald Jeffries, that's one of my friends from Co-op City. To this day, we're friends. I don't even call him he's not even my friend no more. He's my brother. He's like, I like all your albums, but Mega Philosophy, bro, I really forgot how dope. Like that album is really one of the best albums I've ever heard. Like he just said something like that to me recently, and I was like, wow, like I gotta listen to it again.
Yeah, he not lying.
So thank you guys for that.
No, thank you, brother. Thank you. And I mean, the Realness too, that just came out. So,
yeah.
I haven't had a full chance to take that in like I've taken in Mega Philosophy. But I mean, the growth continues on the Realness too. And I want to shout out Rob Markman. I want to shout out Mr. Mech. Because in terms of the social media space, these is dudes that I follow and I trust for separate reasons. I've known both of them for a long time. Both of them, I really, really trust what they say about hip hop. And I don't know your personal relationships with them, but I do know that these two men have made it their business to make sure that I know that the Realness too is available and in stores.
That's what's up.
You know
Shout out to both of them brothers.
Shout out to Lloyd Banks. It's good to hear y'all together.
Yeah, shout out to Banks.
The Her Name revisits the Used to Love Her.
American Beauty.
The American Beauty that
which was like a tribute to
Used to Love Her.
Right.
It's haunting, but the track on Her Name is just hauntingly beautiful. Whose track is that one?
Pops. A guy named Pops produced that. It's amazing.
Yo, tell Pops I said that shit sounds beautiful.
All right, I'll tell him.
Yeah, Glorious, of course, we spoke about. White Roses is a very important record because too often we wait for our hip-hop luminaries to pass away before we give them their flowers.
Right.
But you gave flowers to Big and to Wu-Tang while they were living, and I thank you for that. You mentioned the impact of Capadonna's verse on Winter Wars, which as a hip-hop, we all know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what made you want to do that record?
I wanted to show unity, support, and I wanted to show the world that, because a lot of times, especially earlier on, you know how artists weren't supportive of each other. They were supportive of their crews. They'd be like, all right, Talib dope, but we over here. Or like, these guys are dope, but we, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, at the end of the day, we all on the same team. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to have to wait for somebody to pass and be like, he was a good dude, he was a dope rapper. Nah, let them hear that. Inspector Deck did ad-libs on White Roses.
I didn't know that.
That's like him going, Soo!
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, show people love while they're here. And I make effort to reach out and to support people. Styles P, shout out to him. I think his legacy is going to be big in the rap. I believe him and his wife is going to be like Jack LaLanne.
That's my favorite couple, bro.
I think years from now, people are going to remember him for his health supplements and for helping people's lives.
Pharmacy for life.
Yeah. So, guys like that, I always support. I buy that stuff. Sometimes they bless me, but I bought it first. Ladybug Mecca, I bought stuff when she was selling stuff. Ralph McDaniels was selling stuff, I bought it. Chuck D had a book, I bought it. Like Stick Man from Dead Press has a
Get Fit Club.
I bought it.
Yeah, it got me doing RPG push-ups.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I support the culture and I respect the culture. When you do something dope, that's how I'm on it right now. I love my culture. How can you love the culture but not love the people that are creatives in it?
That's right.
So, you know what I'm saying? That's what that's all about.
This Life of Ours, I like that. I relate to that because I sampled I got a song with the same sample. A song called Turned Up. Shout out to Harry Fraud. I've had the pleasure of working with him.
Okay.
You've worked with Harry Fraud. Man vs. Myth. You kind of lean into start dealing with 5% philosophy on that record.
The 5% Nation is the most influential force in hip hop.
Agreed.
They do not get the credit they deserve.
Agreed.
If you look at some of the top people we consider lyricists or greats, they either were affiliated with, down with it, or was exposed to it. Whether it's Rakim, Kane, Coogee Rap, Wu-Tang, Nas, AZ, Grand Puba, Brand Nubians. I could go on and on. I mean, the first place I ever heard the term cypher was from the Gods and Earths.
That's right.
And then we just incorporated that into rap. So they've done so much for our culture, and somehow or another, we barely speak of them. So it's like, sometimes I just drop knowledge, period, that we need. And like you said, sometimes when somebody talks, it's preachy and you don't want to hear it. But when it's somebody that you know came from the mud and that still gets love, you're gonna listen. There's a brother named K Boo from the Bronx that was the first person that introduced me to knowledge of self. And I was a kid. I didn't know about that stuff. And he was teaching me about that young. I make it a priority to infuse my music with knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Every project I do, I will give knowledge in it. That's better than giving somebody money sometimes, because that knowledge could turn into so much. You can really build with it, not just build conversation, build economically. Knowledge is just part of the culture, and the 5%, the nation of 5%, they was just very influential, man. You know, so I think we definitely need to give them more respect than they've been given, the culture.
No doubt. Peace to the gods and the earth. So I want to thank Cormega, you for coming on the show.
No problem.
What you got next? What's coming up next?
I did this thing called a Black Book. It was a bunch of quotes. And the reason we called it a Black Book, Nori came up with the idea. He's like, you should call it the Black Book. Because remember those black books we used to do graffiti in?
Yeah.
I basically was writing my quotes in a graffiti book. And I showed it to Nori on one of those episodes. And he was like, yo, you should name it after the book. So I did the book, but I never put it out physically. I only put it out digitally.
Okay.
So now
that's an ill idea.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put out the audio version of that. I'm working on new music right now. Ironically, you mentioned Harry Freud. We cooking. Me and Havoc are working.
Looking forward to that. Shout out to Havoc.
I just told Large Professor we need to get on. And being that is hip hop's 50th, so-called 50th birthday, because it depends on, you know, I think I don't know when hip hop started, because I'm hearing so many different stories from other brothers too.
Hey,
but we'll take it.
We could go back to Negro spiritual. We could go back to the African griots with the drums. We could.
You know what? That's why I fuck with you. let's go back. Let me go. Let's get into this before I leave.
Yeah.
Because there was a debate recently, and everybody was like, "Where did hip hop come from?" And this and that, and this and that. And somebody said it came from Jamaica. I love Jamaica. I love Jamaica food. I love Jamaica people, but it did not come from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the loud sound systems, the implementation of sound systems.
That was a uniquely Jamaican sound system, absolutely.
But the
DJ culture, like toasting, you know, talking over the records and the way they did it. But I'm gonna let you finish. Because I think I know where you're going.
Rap has been in our culture since the late 1800s to early 1900s. If you go on YouTube, you will find clips that's in black and white. People looking like Cab Calloway era.
You've seen those clips, right?
And they're rapping.
And they're like, hey.
You know what I'm saying? It was a part of our culture.
Yeah.
We just didn't have a beat. We didn't have loud beats behind it, and we didn't have a name for it, but it was something that we did. And it was culturally, Muhammad Ali used to do it. So let's not get carried away with it.
So there's a movement online that I feel like is nativist. And there's a lot of people online, and I'm not going to say their names because they like Candyman. If I say them, they're going to pop up and be in my comments trolling me. You know what I'm saying? But there's a movement online of people who is largely funded by right-wing organizations, and they purport to be pro-reparations, and they purport to be about pro-Black Americans. But if you look at their politics, they all support Republicans. And I'm not a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? I don't fuck with that shit in that way at all. But I do know that the Republicans don't have our best interests in mind. And so some of these nativist groups, a lot of them are well-meaning Black people, because who's going to be against reparations? But they don't understand that the Republicans is standing against reparations. So it's like they being fooled. And there's a lot of people online who have been anti-immigrant. Now, I'm someone who is staunchly pro-immigrant for a lot of reasons, but just in terms of the pro-Blackness, I'm a power in numbers dude. You know what I'm saying? The more Black people in this country, the better. The better we have of succeeding together as a people. When you talk about Jamaicans and hip-hop, yeah, you can't have hip-hop without the Jamaican influence, but you can't have that Jamaican music without them copying American R&B stars. And, you know, copying certain other types of music, like doing their own dub versions of that. All the music come from Africa. That's why I went to the griot shit.
Now that's the real.
You know what I'm saying?
Now that's what's up. That's
all of it come from that.
So basically, we need to stop fighting each other.
Yeah,
we all brothers. We all brothers. We all landed.
But all of it is valid. To say that hip hop is only Jamaican, like there is. I grew up in Brooklyn. You born in Brooklyn. You know, you're in Queens. We all in New York City. We grew up with Caribbean people.
Yeah, I love it.
We grew up being called Yankees and being called lazy for being Americans. We also grew up with Americans who was calling niggas coconuts and calling Africans African booty scratchers and all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but all of it together. Now, what I will say is America is uniquely positioned to create hip hop. Hip hop couldn't have happened any place other than America. The unique mix of Black people from Jamaica, from the Caribbean, Black people from Africa, in New York City. We are blessed to have Black people from all over the diaspora. Without Black people from all over the diaspora, I don't think hip hop starts in New York City. But let's not get it fucked up. It starts in New York City. And it's got the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans was there too. And there was a couple white boys there too. It was underrepresented. There's a couple.
Run DMC needs a lot more credit too.
Oh, absolutely.
I seen somebody talking about the greatest. Run DMC is the greatest group ever. The greatest movement, I'll give it to Wu-Tang. But the greatest group, if it wasn't for Run DMC, rap would have been faded out.
So if you in the city, please come on February 8th, I think. I got me and DMC with Bob James here on the stage.
I'm going to try to be here.
Yeah.
They said hip-hop was a fad, and media dictates society. A lot of our parents hear the news, oh my God, it's going to be a snowstorm, wear this. Oh my God, they're saying this bug is coming or this or that. They said it's not going to last. Don't do that stuff. It's going to be like breakdancing. The media was saying that. So when the media's saying that, who's investing in us? All those companies was not trying to invest in it because it didn't seem economic. It didn't seem viable.
That's right.
Russell Simmons had the ingenuity to say, we mix this with some rock and roll.
Queens niggas get the money, ask Russell Simmons.
You know what I'm saying? So when they did that song with rock and roll,
yeah,
Walk This Way, that took rap to a whole nother level. Without that, it would have faded out because nobody was investing in it.
That's right.
So with that, you have to credit the white people too, because hip hop became cultural. Like everybody played a role in it growing and expanding.
Yeah, my tribe is artists. You know, we talk about not being tribal, but if I had to pick a tribe, my tribe is artists. And what I love about hip hop is it judges you on your heart and your participation and your skill level. Like if you nice and you really about the culture, hip hop has never been about race.
Right.
It's from poor people,
right,
which is disproportionately black and brown people. But hip hop is a unifier and an equalizer.
Hip hop did more for relations than any politician ever did.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to going to Japan. I've been independently. I've been to Australia, New Zealand, like Germany, Spain, Italy, France, you name it. All from this thing that we do. And some people, Poland was off the chain. You probably been to Poland. Off
many
the
times,
chain.
yeah.
So it's like, Russia loves me, but I can't go to Russia.
I'm not going to Russia no more.
Listen, you got problems over there.
Oh yeah, I got a whole Russia situation.
Oh yeah,
no doubt.
But yeah, hip hop is beautiful. It's a cultural thing. It's beautiful. Shout out to Jamaicans. I love y'all, man.
Yes, indeed.
I was listening to Barrington Levy yesterday. It's all love.
Yes, indeed.
I love Barrington. I love Sizzler. I did a song with Vibes Cartel.
Vibes is official.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's rude boy music.
So
yes
thanks for having me, man.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the People's Party is proud and honored to have Cormega. Thank you. Yeah. That was good, man.